Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Dinka Salvador. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk to you about astrology and how it can be used as a personal development tool. I always say that astrology is like gravity. Whether you believe in it or not, it affects you. I'm sure that you hear people say things like, "That's such a typical Cancer thing to do," or "Yeah, that's my Gemini moon," or stuff like that. I think that many of us are not seeing the full picture when it comes to astrology. So knowing your sun sign is already a very good start, but there's a huge difference between reading the horoscope in a magazine or having your birth chart made especially for you. In my view, it's not really a divination tool as a lot of people think of astrology. Oh, my faith is in the stars, and you will see what will happen in your life based on your astrology. That's not really what it is. For me, it's more like a roadmap to your energetic imprint. So to understand your chart is basically a tool for you to supercharge your growth journey. So if you want to know how to use astrology in your personal development journey, this video is for you. Many people are stuck in certain patterns, or there are certain situations that they just can't seem to overcome. And I think that it's because they struggle to understand the behaviors and why they occur. In a way, it already starts with awareness. I think that being able to see the factors that are at play in our lives and the magnitude of it can lead to many aha moments. It certainly did in my life. If you think about it, the moon affects all the water on our planet. It causes tides. So we are 70% water, 90% on a molecular base. I think it's a little naive to think that the moon doesn't have any effect on us. And compared to the other planetary object, the moon is so tiny. So imagine those gigantic planets in our solar system or just the sun. I feel like when it comes to traditional like self-help advice, it's often a bit too generic. Like if you feel this, then you have to do that, and then you feel better, which can help on many occasions. If you have a birth chart reading personalized to you, it tells you all the kind of energies and influences that were present at the time of your birth. All ancient civilizations used astrology as a tool, starting from ancient Egypt, like 3000 BC, and then Mesopotamia, ancient India, the Vedic astrology, China, the Mayan, Aztec civilizations, also ancient Greece and the Persian Empire. This is as old as humanity itself. The moment we started asking bigger questions, we always looked up to the sky and we started seeing patterns and started to observe how certain things have an influence on us. If you feel like there's a disconnect between knowing that we need to grow, but then having a framework that actually resonates with your individual journey, I feel like astrology can really be a personalized action step to gap that. So we talked about the difference between a horoscope in a magazine and then a comprehensive birth chart. Most people know their sun signs, right? I'm a Cancer sun. What does that mean? Most of us, we know what the major themes are of the zodiac signs. I like to think about it as archetypes. Basically, we all have all 12 archetypes in our birth chart. Everybody has all 12 zodiac energies in some way in their birth chart, but some are more pronounced than others. So basically, knowing your sun sign is just a very small slice of a pie. And I think a lot of people jump to conclusions based on their sun signs, completely disregarding all the other factors that provide enough information to see the full picture. To me, it's basically like a language to understand our strength, our challenges, our growth opportunities. It's basically like breaking down your personality into smaller chunks, and then you start to understand how you are put together, or what are the influences that are present in your life. I was always drawn to astrology. I think ever since I can remember, it always triggered me, or I was drawn to it. But of course, it's a lifelong learning experience. There's just so much knowledge and wisdom about astrology that you can learn by yourself. I never really followed a course. I'm pretty much a self-study, especially in the day and age of internet and AI. You can teach yourself pretty much anything. To me, the turning point was when I really started to pay attention and see the patterns in my chart. One of my major aspects is Sun square Pluto. A square is kind of like an irritating angle. The Sun is about the ego, and the Pluto represents transformation by destruction. So basically, since I'm aware of this aspect, I kind of see this pattern that there's a lot of things in my life that feel like an ego death. I have become this kind of chameleon over and over. I have to reinvent myself. I have to kind of totally pivot in every aspect of my life. So what does this aspect say about me? Basically, it tells me that I have to embrace change. The more I hold on to something that is clearly not working, the more I will suffer, because it's just the energy that I have in my birth chart. It calls for me to embrace change and to let go of what no longer serves me and embrace new things with open arms, because it's kind of like out with the old, in with the new energy. As long as you don't get rid of the old stuff, there is no place for new and better things to enter your life. So basically, I'm a Cancer sun. I have my moon in Gemini, but my overall energy, if you compare everything, I have Libra, or definitely like an air sign energy. So it's like a lot of thoughts, a lot of like intellect. And I also have the tendency to be like a little bit like flu, like very much in my head, and kind of lose touch with reality, or like with mundane everyday life things. And because of that, I attracted a partner who's pretty much the opposite of it. He's Taurus sun, and very much standing with all 4 feet on the ground. And I always say that I'm kind of like a balloon, and he holds the little thread so that I don't fly away. So we balance each other out in that sense. Understanding these patterns really helps me to prepare myself for situations where I need to reflect, or I need to make a decision. Knowing this, that I have this aspect in my chart, makes me much less scared or afraid of change, because I know I have this inner trust that change is always for the better. It's transformation by destruction. So it's painful. It's always painful because you lose something that you're attached to. But then with the promise of something better and bigger, and something that serves you better, is coming to replace that. So how can you use your birth chart as a personal development, map, really? I think that knowing where your challenges are is always the best way to supercharge your growth, because everything that is a challenge calls us to rise to the occasion, to level up. It's like a magnifying glass. It draws your attention to the aspects of life where you have the most work to do. But because you have the most work in that specific aspect, it also means that you have the most possibility to level up. How can you apply this in your everyday life? It's very useful if you already have a birth chart reading. These days, I think there are many services for this. I find that finding an astrologer is kind of a personal preference, almost like a gynecologist. So you have to have, like some sort of trust, or some sort of good energy. I wouldn't just get my birth chart done by anyone. But on the other hand, there are also many tools online. You can do this by yourself, or you can also ask AI to help you with this. I certainly utilize AI with my astrology, and it's all about asking the right questions, right? AI doesn't know anything. It's basically like a very smart fill in the gap computer. So it just calculates the most probable answer based on the information that is available on the internet. But anyway, so I think that there are many ways these days to get your birth chart reading. So that's a very good baseline. What I really like to do is to check major transits on a weekly basis, just to know, to have an idea how to align my plans, if there's something big that I have to or want to do that week, just kind of check the energies. What is the best day, or what should I avoid, or when is like an extra favorable day to certain things. What I find also a very handy tool to understand more about astrology, and everyone can do this. So just write a list down of all the people close to you or the people that you know, and identify their sun signs. And then maybe you will already see a pattern there. Maybe you will have kind of tendencies. It's interesting, all my friends are fire signs. That's not necessarily true, but I know that for me, it kind of revealed a lot of things about what kind of energies I like to draw into my life. And then it also helps you to understand the archetypes better, because when you think about those people close to you who have those sun signs, you will be able to find like personality traits or like certain characteristics that you can identify with a certain zodiac. But of course, remember that the sun sign is just a small slice of the pie. It doesn't give you the full picture. It is our ego expression. So there's certainly a lot of that present in most people's birth chart, but it's not the full picture. So astrology is one of many tools available for self-discovery. I really enjoy learning and working with it. I also like to check with numerology. I think that numbers are the language of the universe. I also use tarot in my daily life, not as a divination tool, but taking the energetic temperature of a day or a situation and going into that situation with the awareness of this is the energetic imprint, this is present in that situation. I can already go into that situation with that in mind. I think it's really like kind of a reflection tool, astrology, rather than a deterministic system. And I can give you a couple of really fun ways how to start experimenting with astrology as a personal development tool. For example, if you can look up your moon sign. So the moon represents our emotions, emotional intelligence. Depending on which moon sign you have, it has an element as well. So mine is in Gemini. So Gemini is an air sign. Basically, you can kind of categorize yourself based on which moon sign you have. And then, for example, the water needs some sort of emotional release through journaling or art. Fire signs usually need some sort of physical activity to process their feelings. Earth signs usually benefit from like some sort of connection to routine or nature. For air signs, it's usually best to express their emotions through conversation or through writing. I certainly fall in this category. For me, just to speak out loud what I feel already feels like releasing. It takes away the heaviness of a certain situation if I can just vent about it to a friend or to someone close to me. And then, for example, you can also look up your Jupiter placement for your unique genius. So my Jupiter is in Scorpio in the 10th house. So based on this, my natural genius is all about like depth and in psychology, and kind of like a transformative leadership and resourcefulness, building systems and everything with structure, and also emotional intelligence and intuition. And I recognize myself in that. Not every single day. This is also kind of like a flowing thing, and we don't feel exactly the same way every day, right? So, but I definitely recognize these character traits, and it helps me to know what to focus on. I think that there are a lot of people who have many interests, and we live in a world that is so triggering. I certainly tend to have a shiny object syndrome. I see something and I want to do this, and I want to do that too, and I want to do that too. So, but then knowing, for example, your unique genius, so based on your Jupiter placement, helps you to narrow things down and focus on the things that really matter in order for you to have your best self-expression. And then there's another very interesting thing to look up, and it's called the Saturn return, which is basically, it's kind of like a checkpoint. You can calculate your Saturn return based on your birth chart. Saturn returns in roughly 29 and a half years. So we are looking for that time in space when Saturn is in the exact same position as it was when you were born. So that is usually between 27 and 30 years, the first one, and the second one between 57 and 60, and then the third one 87 and 90. I certainly remember my Saturn return. I wasn't aware of this phenomenon back then when it was happening, but when I found out about it and I looked up where did it fall in my lifetime, it was so clear. Usually Saturn return is something that shakes your whole reality. It's like a rug has been pulled from under your feet and it just kind of shakes everything in your life at the same time. So it's definitely not a fun experience. But now that I know about this, and I know that the next one is coming about between the age of 57 and 60, I'm for sure going to be more prepared. It doesn't mean that it will be easier, but in retrospect, when I was going through this, I wish I knew that there is such a phenomenon and there are certain energies at play. And if I resist them, I'm just going to make my life so much more difficult. And if I kind of just let go and just kind of lean into it and just say like, enjoy the ride, I would have been probably much better off. But of course, live and learn. I didn't know it back then. So if you like this video, please subscribe. I would love to hear your thoughts, how astrology shaped your self-discovery so far, and what are the biggest takeaways from this video. Thank you so much for taking the time for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.